Hey, welcome to My People's Truth, where every Friday my podcast dives into the untold stories, unfiltered struggles, and the different experiences that Black people go through in today's society. I'm your host, Ayana Johnson, and we're here to confront the uncomfortable head on. The first thing I want to do is dive into my story with mental health and how it affected or has affected me in my life. I remember in high school, I first started doing therapy. I was ashamed. Not gonna lie, I was very ashamed because of how much or how little I knew about it, and the fact that it was not talked about at all in my household. And it is now, but back then it was not. And it was just more frowned upon in general. I have come a long way. I would say that it did help me a lot. It helped me overcome things that I didn't know that I need to overcome. It helped me become more open-minded. It helped me become informed into a better person. It helped me learn how to talk to people, to set boundaries with people. It was just very beneficial for me, and I'm glad that I did it, and I do not regret it. But at first, it was something that I didn't know that I needed until I got it, if that makes sense. And I feel like everybody should have that experience for themselves and learn about it and do it because you want to become a better human being, and also do it to free your mental, because now I'm way more open-minded, way more open to have conversations with people, way more open to be a little bit confrontational with people, because before I was not at all. Yeah, let's just keep it at that. Now I want to talk about the big stigma that goes around in the Black community, because as we know, the Black community doesn't really, I would say, agree with mental health. The stigma is that if you go to a therapist that you're weak or that you're crazy. Even though that's a stigma, that is not the case at all. But the Black community majority of it seems to deem the person as weak or crazy when they want to get help for themselves. Now, I'm not saying the people that do go need it. I'm saying that the people that go want to get help. Some people do need the help and they go get the help, and that's fine. But I'm saying for the people that want to progress themselves and progress their mental, they are frowned upon for trying to better themselves, is what I'm saying. And I feel like it's just so messed up, because you just want to become a better person for you, and other people are looking at you like you're crazy, like you're a lunatic or something, because of how you want to progress yourself and grow as a person. And I think that's really messed up, and I think that more Black people need to become more open-minded to it. I feel like everybody needs therapy, to be honest, because either way it goes, need it or not, everybody needs it, because everybody has their past traumas and stuff that they deal with. Everybody has their own anxieties and stuff that they deal with, even if they talk about it or not. I feel like that it can be beneficial for everybody. It is beneficial for everybody if you want the help. Another thing that is with Black community mental health is that people are just scared because of the unknown. They're scared to go because of the stigma. They're scared to do it because they've never done it before, never experienced it before, which is understandable, but they don't do it anyway. It's the unknown, and people don't like to be uncomfortable. Generally, a big reason I would say why Black people don't do it. And another reason I would say is because they don't know how to communicate, and it's hard to be vulnerable in that type of way, to talk about your feelings, to do those type of things in the Black community. It is not a regular thing to be vulnerable. It is not like an everyday thing. It is not common. And at first, when I started to go, it was very hard for me because I wasn't. And my therapist almost quit on me because I would not be vulnerable with her and open up or even have a simple conversation with her, because I was scared. Another reason why I feel like Black people are not comfortable enough to be vulnerable or to go through to get therapy is because of the lack of resources. As it is, Black people don't want to, most don't want to go get the help, but say they are trying to go get the help, but they don't feel comfortable with the person that they're talking to, because there's not a lot of Black therapists out there. And that's not even factoring in your gender, your sexual orientation. So just imagine a Black gay male trying to go and get therapy, but he doesn't feel comfortable because there's no other black gay male therapists out there, or just female gay therapists out there for him to talk to. You know what I mean? Like, in that sense, like, there's a lack of resources, because I feel like black people, when it comes down to it, black people feel more connected, even if they don't know each other, to other black people. I'm not saying that there's no resources at all. I'm saying that there is just a lack. But it's not easy to really find a therapist that fits you, fits your style. It's going to take some time. It takes a minute to find who you feel like you can open up to, who you feel like you can trust. It's important to find the right person for you, because if you don't feel comfortable, you're not going to talk, and then it'll be like everybody's wasting their time. The effects of racial trauma has a big impact on mental health. I feel like the everyday struggle that black people go through, that not the common person would think of, is very taxing on the mental health. Most black people have had the experiences of just being profiled in a store, and people follow you in the store. I'll give you another example. I remember specifically in elementary school, there was this one teacher I had. She was palm colored, and there was this one student who was also palm colored, and I am not palm colored. But in school, there was, remember the little color card system, red, yellow, green. So I always used to get in trouble in her class for some reason, whatever. So there's this one palm colored kid. He did something like threw pencils or something like that, and she told him to turn his card to yellow. He never did. Then it was me at lunch. I dropped my spoon at lunch. Did not get out the seat. Dropped my spoon. Bent down to grab my spoon. She looked at me. We locked eyes. And she said, "Go ahead and turn your card to yellow." And when I tell you, then I was a little kid, so I was petty back then. So when we got back to the classroom, she was like, "Go ahead, turn your card to yellow." I said, "Okay." And then I said, "But what about the other palm colored?" I didn't say palm colored kid, but I was like, "What about that kid over there that she threw a pencil in? You told him to go to yellow and he didn't go to yellow." She was like, "That doesn't matter. He can stay on green, but you go to yellow." That was the very first time I've ever been racially profiled, and how that just affected my mental from there on, about the stigma of how white people are mostly out to get us as black people for just existing. That is very sad. But it is the truth from personal experiences. Of course, I have more personal experience. There's so many more experiences that I could tell you that you probably wouldn't believe that I've been profiled for and have happened to me. And I know there's so many more black people that the same thing or similar things have happened to them, and they've been profiled for it, and it affects their mental permanently, because now you think, because of all the experiences that you've experienced in your life, that you will always be profiled in some type of way, shape, or form, just because of how you look. And just imagine what type of effect that has on black people. Like, if I didn't know who I was, or didn't know who I am, or wasn't confident in who I am, just imagine how taxing that would be, how depressed I would be if I wasn't confident enough to know who I was or know who I am. And I know there's a lot of black people that aren't as confident, that are suffering in silence because of the stigma saying that you're weak or crazy if you go to therapy. But because it's not talked about enough, that's what, in general, most of the black community thinks, and it's sad. What would help is more black people in the community talking about it, advocating for it, trying to fund mental health and education in general. I think that would help the black community, and just being vulnerable about mental health, about talking about it, talking about mental health in general and talking about getting therapists in general would help tremendously. And I feel like if that happened, then more change would come within the Black community so that the Black people could get the help that they desperately need, that they're afraid to ask for. Or if it's financial, that they will get the financial help that they need so they can get help for the mental, for the mind. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I'm your host, Diana Johnson, on My People's Truth, and I will see you next Friday.